Hey everyone, this is Alea and I'm with the studio at Kearny Point. And today I'm super excited because we have another special guest and his name is Todd Giannattasio.
Boom, got it.
Yes.
Nice.
I got it.
There we
right,
go.
yeah.
Off to a good start already. Let's do it.
Let's dive deep into this. So Todd is a marketing mentor as well as the founder and CEO of Tresnic Media. So I did a little bit, research on you. There's a lot of stuff, really cool things happening, and I'm super excited just to dive deeper into that. But if you guys didn't know, Todd was featured in Forbes as well as HuffPost Post and a ton of other things. But enough of me talking. I need to get to Todd in his introduction. But for the first question, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in helping brands launch?
Yeah, for sure. So I started Tresnic Media digital marketing agency in 2011. Really, I was working in corporate, huge company, doing interactive communications. But when you work at huge companies like that, you kind of do work and you don't really feel the impact of what's happening, right? And I'm the kind of guy, I want to put my foot on the pedal and see the car go fast, right?
Exactly.
So I started Tresnic Media to help smaller businesses and work closer to the actual results that we could create.
Okay.
And help small businesses and entrepreneurs really reach and impact more people. So That's been our mission, and we do that through building websites, SEO, social media ads, email marketing, all that kind of digital stuff. And helping small businesses reach more people.
Nice. I really love that.
Yeah.
So with that, how does podcasting help a brand establish themselves to their audience?
Man, I think podcasting is, especially video podcasting like this, like what you guys got going on, I think it's the best type of branding and marketing that can be done because it's so easy to repurpose. And so when you're a thought leader or an expert in your space, right, especially for service businesses, when you can create content like this with a video, you can just spend time we really didn't even prep. I don't know what questions you have, right? But when you have that depth of expertise in your field, you can sit down and record content that is super helpful to your audience. You're answering questions that people are searching for online, and so when you publish that content on YouTube or on your blog, then when people search, they're gonna find you.
Right.
But then also you can repurpose that into all the social media content, as Instagram Reels or TikTok or YouTube, whatever. And so sitting down for 30, 45 minutes becomes dozens of different pieces of content that as the business owner, super busy, that's not your job to be able to edit videos and make graphics and write copy. But when you sit down for 45 minutes to make a podcast episode, now you can delegate that to the professional experts that can make that happen and amplify your message across the internet and reach and impact more people.
Exactly.
And I like to think of it like it's the queen bee role. Right, you can do this one thing for 30, 45 minutes and it turns into let all the worker bees do all the rest, right?
Right, exactly. And with social media right now, it's huge and it's going to be around for a while, and that's something that content creators are going to have to figure out how you can brand your things, and that's why I'm just happy to discuss that further with you.
Yeah. And what I love really about podcasting too is if you commit to it, is that really growing a solid brand, increasing your sales over time, building relationships with the target audience, all that kind of stuff, it comes from repeated exposure.
Right.
And so
absolutely.
If you sit down and do one video and make a bunch of content, that's cool. And you can repurpose it, reshare it for a while. But if you commit to doing a show, then that keeps you accountable to just spend that time either once a week, every other week, once a month. But now that repeated exposure is there.
Absolutely.
And that's what builds the relationship with an audience over time.
Ding, 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 ding. You guys heard that, right? Stay consistent and get in there and dive deep into your social media. I like that, Todd. Yeah. All right, so my next question for you is, how was the process of creating your business podcast? And what were some things you learned from that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had the approach of kind of education-based marketing. And I just love to help people. And especially, a lot of people get into business because they're an expert in something. They don't like selling. Most of them hate selling. It's a bad word for most people. People don't like to be marketers or promote themselves. So I like that helpful approach to marketing. And so starting a show, podcast, video, social content, whatever kind of content that you want to create, when you come at it from a place of service and you're just creating helpful content, how can you get trolls when you're trying to help people, right?
Exactly.
And so it's also a mental hurdle that people can get over easily when I tell them, look, if you want to make a show, when you want to come up with your content strategy, the easiest way, it will take you 2 minutes, is when a customer or potential customer sends you an email with a question, or you're sitting at a networking meeting and someone asks you a question, you don't flinch at the answer, right?
Right.
You hit reply on the email, bang, you bang it out and send it to them in 5 minutes. That's a blog post.
Right.
When someone's sitting with you, if you're on Zoom with a meeting, if you're in person and someone asks you a question and you answer it, like record that, right? Like capture your expertise. So when you can get over that mental hurdle of like, oh, I need to be a content creator for my business. It's like, no, you just have to be helpful for the customers that you want to reach.
I like that.
And so now, you know, all right, what's all the stuff everybody asks you all the time? Just start with that and create, you know, come up with, if you want to have a show, like every episode you have, answer a different theme of questions that people ask you all the time.
Right.
Now, forget about even marketing. Now you're saving yourself time on like customer support and customer service, because now when people email you or ask you questions, you're like, oh, here's a link to the YouTube video.
Right, exactly. Now I like that approach too. So I'm learning as I'm talking to you. That is awesome. Yes. Thank you, Todd. Thank you. My next question for you is, if you had 1 week as a brand to launch and promote a podcast, what would you immediately start on?
Looking up what the customers I want to reach are asking about. That's what it's all about.
I like that.
Right? You know, the first thing I always do is the audience and the offer, right? So what really marketing and business is about, bridging the gap between, these are complete strangers who have a problem that we can solve. We need to transform them and bring them over here so they know who we are, they like us, they trust us, they know how we help them, and we can ultimately help them, and they enroll in whatever we're selling.
I like that.
And so it starts with, okay, we know the end goal is like they need to create more content. It's like, all right, well, who needs to create more content? Small businesses. What are small business owners? Where are they hanging out online? Just do some keyword research, 20 minutes. Figure out what questions are they asking. Tools like answerthepublic.com and Uber Suggest, they're free. You know, they got free options. Type in some questions and phrases that people ask you, and you'll see what are the most searched terms on that. That's where you start with your topics.
I like that too.
Who are they following online? What's the popular content of those accounts, right? Let's kind of, emulate what's going on and what people are winning. And then let's dive in and do listening, right? Like, people used to and still do pay tens of thousands of dollars for focus groups so that they could get people into a room and ask them a couple questions and get their feedback. It's like, social media is the focus group.
Right.
So where are they commenting and asking questions? Dive into the Instagram comments of influencers in the space and see, what are people saying in there?
Right.
What are people posting questions about?
Right.
It's all out there, right? Like, save yourself 50 grand on the focus group and just jump right onto Instagram.
Exactly. Technology these days, you don't even have to you cutting the middleman out, cutting all that stuff out and just doing it yourself. No, I really love that approach.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I wondered, would you suggest, content creators when they're just starting up, like you said, you help small businesses and just people just up and coming. Would you recommend them to, get someone that's a little bit, their following, it grows, it's a little bit more than their following. Would you advise them to have that type of guest on their show, or, would that help in growing their content?
Yeah, for sure. What we do, and we help our clients who are content creators kind of create this and amplify it, is a really simple strategy is finding people who are a little bit ahead of you, that are easier to reach out to and network with, invite them on your show, have them on, and then, also take shots. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, take those
yeah.
shots too. But then don't just stop by having them on the show, but really give them huge value for being there. So feature them, feature their expertise, and then do what we just said. Chop that up and give it to them.
Right.
When you post it, make sure you're tagging them so they can reshare your stuff. Give them the assets, give them the videos and graphics of the show with their expertise so that they want to show that stuff. And then they're going to be super grateful. And then you can build a relationship off of that as well.
Right. That just hit me when you were talking. I'm like, okay, no, I love that a lot.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially for people that are up and coming, they want to establish themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
And some people find it hard.
Yeah.
So would you also recommend people to go to networking events? I know with social media, everybody pretty much is either remote or, just inside, but a lot of people don't really network outside anymore. So, I mean, I personally would recommend, but just coming from, someone like you, like, would you recommend to go to different events?
100%, because, like we said, you can go and listen to the comments that people are posting, but also being in a room with people where you can overhear how conversations flow naturally is a huge advantage. And plus, like, there's something different about once you meet someone in person, even for people who I've met online, like like the first time we met was online, like us, right? But now once you've spent some time with someone in person, your online relationship afterwards is 10 times stronger, right? Like there's there's a stronger bond there between people. So like, I think that also comes into play too.
Absolutely.
And if you're looking for people that are bigger, like we talked about, like look for some accounts or profiles that are a little bit bigger than you online that you could, partner up with or co-create with.
Right.
I think if you find people that are local geographically that you could get to in person, that could be an advantage to meeting them.
Right.
right? And so, you can take a shot at someone that's a little bigger and say like, hey, I see, you're here, I'm 30 minutes away in this place, like I can come down by your office and we can, whatever. And I think that's a big advantage that you could tap into.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks again, Todd. This is nothing but gems. If you guys are not paying attention, I need you to start. Okay. Interview is almost there. My next question for you is, what's the process in helping brands distinguish themselves on social media? We pretty much just kind of covered that a little bit, but if there's any little bit more tidbits that you want to add to that.
For sure. I think number one, we touched on consistency, right? Like you can't post once, whether it's a podcast episode, YouTube video, social media, whatever. Like you can't just post once. You have to show up consistently.
Right.
And really to cut through the noise that's out there is the more specific you can get to what you're talking about and who you're talking to, right? And so it's much easier to cut through the noise when you are helping, like we were talking about someone before who like they specifically work with real estate investors.
Right.
So like if you're the X for real estate investors, all of a sudden real estate investors, their ears perk up. Like our brains are wired to catch things that are talking about our names or something about us that's familiar. So like if you're someone who's speaking to a specific audience, you'll cut through the noise way faster than just being generic.
Right.
And then when you can be consistent and demonstrate your expertise for that particular audience, then you're gonna rise to the top there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfectly said. Well put. All right, so my next couple questions, I have a few more for you.
Hit me.
What's a podcasting platform that you would recommend to a business right now? Just any business. It doesn't have to be anything specific.
Yeah, I mean, platform like where to publish?
Basically, I guess you could say, a podcasting platform where you could publish, or just any podcasting platform that someone's just looking just to publish their things, but also to promote.
Yeah, I think honestly, podcasting, the first thing you think of is going to be Apple Podcasts or Spotify, which you should be there 100%. But like I said, I love squeezing as much juice as I can.
Exactly.
So you should be doing video if you can, if you're comfortable and all that.
Right.
And it should be on YouTube. And here's the thing. What I have found, especially in more recent times, is that audio podcasts are an amazing way to build a deep relationship and engage your existing audience once they get subscribed. But publishing to Apple Podcasts, you're not going to get a new audience from that.
Okay.
Right? And so what I think a better approach would be is if you're recording your show as a video and doing a little keyword research and optimizing your title and your thumbnails on YouTube to get found, because YouTube is a search platform.
Right.
People will find you on YouTube when you're publishing there. Right. And then once they find you, you can get them subscribed to email's number one priority for me always.
Right.
Email and your audio podcast, and now you're in the audio feed where you're deepening that relationship.
Right.
But if you want to get discovered and reach new people, I think you need to be publishing your show as a video on YouTube and really be mindful of your title and your thumbnails.
I like that. Yeah. No, absolutely. There's a lot of people that might be looking, into that. So
yeah.
Well put again. All right. So what is a good philosophy to have as an entrepreneur?
Coming from a place of service, right? Like, I have what I call the modern marketing principles, and it's number one being customer centric, education based, value first, right? And conversational. It's about just showing up, being your authentic self, and coming from a place of service and being helpful to people, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I've published, I don't know how many pieces of content for my brand and other brands over the last 10 years. We've reached millions of people, and like I honestly can say, knock on wood, like we've never had any kind of like troll issues or anything like that. And it's because everything we do comes from that place of like, hey, this is here to be helpful for you, right? And when you come from that place, I also believe in a lot of energetic and universe woo-woo type of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's also proven data around like when you come at it from being helpful, putting out good stuff, coming from a place to want to create expansion, like it's going to come back to you tenfold. And so that's really the guiding principle I give to all entrepreneurs.
Nice. Y'all hear that? You guys hear that? I love this. I love this so much. All right, almost there. What is your favorite platform right now?
For publishing, YouTube, for the reasons we talked about. I think YouTube's the best because it has that discoverability in it. Deepening relationships, I think it's audio podcasting.
Okay.
But ultimately, the number one platform is building your email list. I think that's got to be number one priority, right?
I like that. Yeah.
You own your email list. You own the relationship. You're getting permission. Permission-based marketing is an old Seth Godin thing that's very important for building your audience and growing your business. But like, it's happened dozens of times with Google search and with Facebook, but like if you're building on other places, you're building on rented land.
Yes.
Right? Like the Facebook algorithm, people used to post on their Facebook page and reach all their followers. Now you one follower.
Right.
So you got to pay for ads, right?
Yes.
Instagram, this algorithm is changing like every week. People are complaining about it, right?
Yes.
Google search, it's very similar. People complain about when these algorithm changes happen, but when you build an audience that's opting in to hear from you regularly, you have that step in a real relationship, and like there's no algorithm changes that are going to change that. You have their contact information, you can reach them, even if they don't open every email. Like you're getting into their inbox, they see your name there, they see you putting out good stuff. So
Absolutely.
for me, the number one channel to build is email.
I like that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, this thought just came to me. Would you also recommend businesses or just up and coming entrepreneurs to get mailing addresses as well, and maybe send thank you cards?
Yeah,
something
if you can, 100%. So like there's the pros of that are being able to touch multiple places, right? Like the same way where we say, oh, I want them to watch my videos on YouTube. I want them to listen to me on the podcast. I want them to see me when they're scrolling. I want them to see me in their inbox, because the more places that someone sees you, it actually will create a stronger relationship when you're in different places. And the physical mailing places, that's even better. How you get those is going to be different. So if you're, the more fields you add to a form, the less likely people are going to fill it out. And like if you're giving away, like we often give away like either free video trainings or free PDFs, that kind of stuff, like 99.9% of the people are not going to want to put their mailing address in for something like that. So,
absolutely, yeah.
But if you do come up with a strategy that's worth putting, like, hey, we're going to actually mail you something for free, or if you have low ticket products that you sell up front, and so you're getting their address in there, or if you have a sales team who's doing outbound and can collect those mailing addresses, I think touching, the more places you can communicate with someone, the better.
Absolutely. Thanks again. All right, and then almost close to the last question. Who's your favorite online personality or content creator?
Man, now, Vanessa Lau is my favorite. I think she's doing great stuff she puts out a lot of great stuff for YouTube and Instagram specifically, but she's a great person to follow for creators. She's got tons of free content. She's got some paid programs. She's got some low ticket stuff. So whatever point you're at where you want resources, she's a great person to follow for sure. Her Instagram and YouTube channel are gold, and her emails too.
Nice. You guys hear that? Hope you guys are listening right now. And my last question to conclude this interview is, what would your advice be for those that are hoping to, build this personal brand? We pretty much talked about, covered a lot of this, but just any last thoughts, on that type of advice for anybody, whatever brand they're trying to create.
Get started, put yourself out there, right? Put yourself out there and be helpful to people. It doesn't have to be like, this place is awesome for the business owners that are able to get into a studio like this with you guys. 100%. But also like, don't be afraid that like, oh, I have to do that with a huge budget, or that's a lot of lip. Like, take out your phone. Everyone's phone right now in the year 2022 is good enough to take a selfie video. It's really about the substance of the content. It's not about the production quality. And so if you come into a great studio like this and your content is terrible, it doesn't matter how good how awesome this studio is.
Exactly.
And the same thing vice versa. If you put out great content and you start with just your phone or your webcam, like that's a good enough place to start. Plus it'll build your muscles so that when you get into a place like the studio here, like you're really ready to go.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much, Todd. I really enjoyed this interview. You dropped a lot of great golden nuggets, and I hope you guys are paying attention. I said this throughout the whole interview. But until next time, guys, thank you for tuning in, and I cannot wait for you to come back and visit us.
Thank you. This was great.
No problem. All right, guys.